that was really a secret, just break it down and get to work and stop, dinking around. Just what do you need to do and get after it.
In this episode, we'll be releasing Panic Attack and Daily Anxiety for Good. He's a 3-time USA Memory Champion, a Grandmaster of Memory, an entrepreneur, and a mentor to high performers. Welcome to the show, John. How are you doing?
Toby, I'm awesome. I'm grateful to be here. Excited to share some gems and some wisdom that I picked up to your listeners.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to be learning from you also in this conversation. Like I said before we start recording, while preparing for this conversation, I found out that you won the US Memory Champion 3 times. That's a great thing. Congratulations on all your achievements.
Thank you.
Yeah. And apart from that, performing insane mental feats on TV shows all around the world, that's something that's not a small thing. So that's a great thing that you've achieved for yourself. That's awesome. Yeah. So I would like to, to start out from that already, like personally, from my own curiosity or from my own self also, I would like to learn how that journey has been like for you, what everything you have to do to achieve that level of, winning, of performance, and how that journey of, training for the championships and also even the TV shows has been for you.
Yeah. I mean, it all started 10 years ago. I read a book on memory techniques that talked about ordinary people learning techniques. Like I don't have a naturally gifted mind or memory. I just learned all these things through strategy. And it starts with an interest. You pick up a book, you try it out. You're like, wow, this is amazing. I can memorize. I remember memorizing a deck of cards in 6 minutes, like all 52 cards. And I was like, this is really cool. There's something here. So I just started applying myself. And the first competition I ever competed in was the World Championships in China in 2014. And I completely bombed. I caved under the pressure. Like I almost got up and walked out. The pressure internally, psychologically, mentally was just so intense. I almost gave up. And that's sort of my story, is overcoming that internal pressure to give up, or that limiting pressure that bears down on so many of us, that resistance. The journey to the top was not just learning the techniques and competing. Of course, there's a lot of hard work that goes into that, a lot of hours and dedication and belief. But the battle that a lot of people don't really give credit to is the pressure, the subconscious resistance, all of those things that inhibited me, the panic and anxiety that, you mentioned, I had to overcome to reach the top. So the hardest battle was not reaching the top of memory and having all these insane mental feats, but it was overcoming the inner demons that inhibited me and inhibit so many people that sort of give up along the way or just get so frustrated to how to overcome.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about something right now that is very, very relatable. Some of the things that stop us from achieving greatness in life are the inner demons, like the fear, maybe the self-doubt also that in us. Yeah, I mean, I was having a similar conversation some days back with a coach, and I was saying, yeah, one has to actually overcome those fears. And that's why I would like to ask you also, John, because you've gone through that journey already, you've done it already. How were you able to overcome your fears, your self-doubt, and how are you able to separate yourself from every limiting beliefs that came along the line?
Yeah, well, I tried all the typical routes that people try these days to no avail. Like they didn't really work. We try to overcome the mind using the mind. Like we try all these mental tactics, mental health, mental performance. But really the root cause, the root issue of all of it is emotional. It's an emotional root issue. So when I learned that, I started going to the root, the emotions, the suppressed emotions inside of me that were self-sabotaging me, that were causing all of this pressure and resistance. Of course, the mind is involved in like conditioning, but to overcome the beliefs, the limitations, all of that, the programming, we need to fully release those suppressed emotions that are causing that visceral response. So instead of like meditating, instead of journaling and doing belief work and all that stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. I went deeper to the real root that was causing all of these feelings of anxiety and fear and overwhelm and paralysis, and analysis paralysis. It was very deep within. So basically the root, Toby, is all of us do this. Every experience of our life that we couldn't handle, that we didn't fully handle in that moment, like a moment of betrayal, a friend took something from you or lied about you behind your back, a moment of embarrassment in 3rd grade, maybe people laugh at you, like moments that you don't handle in that moment that are so intense emotionally, you suppress. All of those moments are still inside of you. They're still affecting you to this day. And then they inflame, they get poked, and then the mind goes crazy, as we know. But those are the root issues. So if we can release those suppressed emotions, there's intelligence in that suppressed emotion that will actually activate more potential and we will expand out. So I started addressing it at a deeper root level than just the mind.
It goes down even much deeper than the mind. Yeah. Taking out all those suppressed emotions and working on them, like feeling in the feelings could help us.
Yeah, it's really that simple. It's very difficult to do because many of us have been conditioned to do something with our mind, figure something out, to ask a question, all this subconscious stuff, but it really gets in the way from just tapping into that feeling that was so uncomfortable to release it and process it out for good.
Yeah, awesome. So let's say right now I've been able to let go of all of these limiting beliefs or these inner demons that could be affecting me. What's the next step I have to take towards winning? Like if I want to, if for example, let's use your case as an example. Like if I want to win the next US memory champion, what is the next thing for me to do now that I fully believe in myself that I can do it?
Yeah, I mean, the next step is getting to work. You have to break down what you have to do to win, right? The logical aspect of this. So the way I won was I just broke down the competition. What would I have to literally be able to achieve to win? And for example, the final event of the US Championship, they shuffle 2 decks of cards together. So 104 cards, it's a stack like that. You go on stage, you look at all the cards for 5 minutes, and then you recite them in order with 3 other people, like you take turns. So you have to be able to remember cards in 5 minutes, that many cards. So I broke it down and I learned a system on how to do that. And I actually, at my peak, memorized one deck of cards in 21 and a half seconds. I had that ability, right? So I just broke it down logically. What do I have to be able to do literally to win? Now, what times do I need? What benchmarks? What systems? And another secret, it's not really a secret, but the memory world is filled with 10 different disciplines. There's words, there's cards, there's numbers, there's names, right? All these different categories, events. So I met with and made friends with the best memory athletes in each category, in each discipline. Who is the best in words? What do they do? Who's the best in names? What do they do? Cards, right? And I sort of modeled my technique based on what they did, right? I didn't reinvent the wheel. I saw it the best as sort of a mentor, as a guide, and then I modeled it. Obviously, a lot of hard work went into this, hours and hours of training and interest. But that was really the secret, just break it down and get to work and stop, dinking around. Just what do you need to do and get after it?
That sounds so great. I mean, break it down. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Learn about what you have to do and just take it. I believe baby steps, learn it every day and setting out a plan for yourself towards achieving that goal of becoming a master.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me like, how many hours do I have to train a week? And I think that's a terrible question. Like, it's not about the hours. It's like, what are you doing? Are you doing like fundamental drills of speed? And meaning I would do, some days I only trained 15 minutes, but in that 15 minutes, I was so dedicated to speed and focus and poured myself in so intensely that I would ascend faster than someone who trained for hours and doing, sort of mindless techniques. It's like people who play piano. Some people have played piano their whole life, but they don't get any better. They just do the same songs. I was dedicated to speed and intensity and focus to just keep getting better. So it was an uncomfortable level of training, but I was willing to go there.
Yeah, I think that's the key word. Keep getting better. Focus on getting better, improving. There's that incremental growth that you have to do towards getting your goal done. Yeah. So, I'd like to segue into the next topic or next question I have in my head for you. And I think they are both related because, sometimes from my own experience, if I'm trying to work towards goal, maybe a big presentation or I'm wanting to launch something, for example, I start to have some fear or sometimes start to feel anxiety. And if it gets too much, maybe start to have some panic attacks or something like that. So I'd like to move into that already and ask you how your experience with panic attack has been, how it started and how you were able to, deal with it to the point of even overcoming it.
Yeah. And I appreciate the question a lot because a lot of people are afraid to talk about this because it's embarrassing, but I'm willing to share because I went through it. I got to the point where I was having daily panic attacks, multiple a day. It was really scary because if you've never had a panic attack before, it's like a surge of adrenaline goes through your body and you feel like something's very, very wrong. Like You feel faint, like you're going to pass out. A couple of times my arm went tight and I thought I was like having a heart attack. Like they mimic very intense symptoms. You feel like you're going to die. Like you feel like something very bad is going to happen. I struggled with overthinking and anxiety and overwhelm for years. And I didn't share this with many people. I kind of suffered in silence or just pretended to be the good, peak performer. But really I was like laying in bed or scared or feeling that visceral anxiety you talk about. And I tried all the mental stuff, right? Like I was mentioning, trying to meditate and calm myself down, trying to go for walks, trying to visualize, trying to do my gratitude, all this stuff that they teach, supplements, hypnosis, all of it. And again, when I learned it was an emotional root issue, this was caused by suppressed emotions, I went full force in it. I leaned into those feelings. Like you said, feel the feelings. That's at a very basic level what you have to do. So here's what people do wrong. When you're feeling anxiety, what most people do, and I did this too, is, I need to listen to meditation and calm myself down. I need to go for a walk. I need to exercise. I need to drink. I need to smoke, whatever. All of those things are escaping that feeling. Even meditation, as good as meditation is, it's an escape. So you're avoiding the issue. You're keeping the suppressed emotion in. So the only way to overcome panic and anxiety fully is to go the other direction, to lean into it, to experience that very feeling that you're trying to avoid. And it's very, very hard because you don't want to do it. You will not want to do this, mostly because the mind gets in the way. That's the biggest obstacle my clients have in the first week is their mind goes berserk. They try to figure out, how long do I have to do this? Am I doing this right? How much is in there? How long do I, I got stuff to do. I can't be doing this. This is not productive. Your mind just goes berserk and keeps you in that patterns. If you can access those feelings and release them, process them out, because they just want their feelings that have been suppressed for years and they want to process out. The only way they can process out is to fully experience them. And so I dedicated myself to that for a couple months. And after like 20 years of anxiety, after a couple months of this, they were completely gone. All of it was gone, just for good. Like the chronicness, the dread, the overwhelm, I didn't have it anymore because I had faced all the demons and the suppressed emotions that were causing and inflicting it.
Well, one question that is just coming to my mind right now is basically, I don't know if there is like something I have to do. I mean, before I start processing my emotions and my thoughts and going to the root cause of it all, it is something I have to do to protect my today's self. Correct me if I'm wrong. I see it's like, you're going down a rabbit hole, or not a rabbit hole, you're going down a path where you could end into a rabbit hole, when it comes to digging out those buried emotions, digging out those buried feelings and thoughts and trying to process them. I don't know if you could get caught up, in the webs of everything that's happened in the past and it could be worse in your case than before. Is there something we could do to protect ourselves or to prevent that from happening?
I mean, it's possible to get caught up in the mind because the mind will scare you with all these thoughts, right? The way that I teach it to people is more of a gradual, it's like imagine an ice cold pool of water. Instead of like jumping in the water with all your body and getting a shock of cold, I want you to like step down one step at a time to get used to the water, to get used to that emotion before you go into the deep end. Because exactly what you said, we don't want to traumatize anyone. We don't want to go crazy. But the thing is, if you learn how to sink into these feelings without thinking in your mind, without trying to figure anything out in your mind, without replaying thoughts of the past and all the heartbreaks and everything, if you just sink into the feeling, you can develop safety in that feeling. And when you feel safer and safer in that feeling, you're able to release way more energy that's suppressed inside of you. Number one, it's a completely safe process. If someone does it smartly and not just like going crazy with the mind, which I guide people through. You don't need to go through your past. You don't need to journal anything or dig or ask yourself what your mother did to you or anything like that. You just need to feel the feelings that arise during the day that come up, because life, Toby, these suppressed emotions are coming all the time. People ask me, how do I access the suppressed emotions? Every single thing that bothers you is a portal to a suppressed emotion. So if someone cuts you off in traffic and you're ticked off, there's a suppressed emotion ready to come up. What are you going to do in that moment? If you have children, then they cause frustration. Do you react and yell, or do you lean into that sensation in that moment? Those are choices where you can release suppressed emotion as they come. Instead of like, when I talk about this, everyone thinks, oh, I need to go to therapy or talk to someone. No, like I don't want you to do any of that. You don't need a therapist. You don't need to sit down 30 minutes a day. You just need to learn how to handle it while it comes up, when it comes up, because life will poke all of the stuff out of you if you let it.
Life is going to poke. It reminds me of something I've kind of learned, and that's life keeps on throwing lessons at you or events at you to teach you a lesson or to help you heal from something. Is that something similar to that?
Yeah, life is always giving you exactly what you need. Every single thing that is happening to you, for you, is helping you. Like all of the anxiety I went through, it was poking and poking and poking me, trying to say, sit with this, learn from this, be with this, instead of pushing it away. So if we're resisting life, like I was resisting life, resistance means you're resisting reality. Reality is trying to help you. Like our mind labels things good and bad, but everything is there to help you, everything that's happening. And so if you experience things over and over in a cycle and a pattern, it's because you haven't learned the lesson. Well, I don't want people sitting there with their mind trying to think, what's the lesson? Because that's futile. I want people to feel energy of what's happening in your body, in your, like, the sensations, because when you fully process that out, you will understand the lesson. You will get the lesson. You will get clarity. You will have an aha. You will have the realization without forcing your mind to think of certain meanings and lessons.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, life will keep on bringing those events back to you just for you to learn that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, life keeps getting louder if you don't listen.
Yeah. That's true. One thing I'm understanding from you right now is about the mind, and we have to, for us to actually heal and be able to overcome the root cause of panic attacks and all of that, we have to detach ourselves from the mind. Like the mind tries to protect us from, revisiting all the suppressed emotions, and we have to detach ourselves from the mind. So is there like a practical thing to do, a practical tool that we could use to separate ourselves from the mind protecting us?
Yeah, I don't want to detach or separate from the mind, but I just want people to understand what the mind is, the role, right? So think of like the first 7 years of your life. Your brain is like a sponge. It's in a theta brainwave and it absorbs everything. So what your parents say, what society says, your teacher, the rules, you absorb all of that and you form your ego. Your ego is basically your mind, the voice in your head, right? It's there to protect you. It forms a belief structure of the world, a construct. And so anytime you run up into resistance or outside of your comfort zone, that voice talks real loud, right? The demons, right? You just have to understand what that is. The voice in your head is not you. You are aware of that voice. You're watching that voice. You're listening to it. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. So if you can see that view, if you can watch Toby's thoughts, if I can watch John Graham's neurotic mind and not identify with it and not be obsessed with it, then I can watch it. That's what's called the witness, right? That's a basic level of meditation, is just witnessing that is not you. You are behind the awareness behind it. So many people identify with that mind and those thoughts. They believe those negative thoughts are them talking to themselves, are them keeping themselves safe or saying, you should do this, don't do this. But it's not you saying those things to yourself. It's a construct to keep you in a comfort zone. So if you're aware of that, you can watch it. I don't want anyone to get rid of their mind or detach from it or argue with it, because when you do those things, you actually make it stronger, that voice. That voice will get stronger if you argue with it or you battle it. Like a lot of people try to reframe their thoughts. That will engage the mind. That will actually strengthen the ego. If you ignore it, that will also strengthen it. It's like locking it in a closet. What I want you to do is let it in. Let it happen. Let all of those nasty thoughts happen and watch them. It's very hard to do. It's very uncomfortable. But again, that's the only way through them. The only way to purify the mind is to feel all the things and also to witness all the storm as it comes.
The only way to master the mind is to be an observer to what the mind is saying and just let it be. Oh, that's so deep. And if I'm able to master this, like, be an observer, allow the mind in, and at the same time also visit the root cause of my, suppressed emotions, sit with it, process it, will I be able to 100% overcome panic attacks, chronic anxieties, and maybe overthinking also?
Yeah, I mean, it did for me, right? I think if you're a person that's willing to merge with all of it, like meaning you're not trying to get rid of your suppressed emotions or your demons. You're actually merging with them. You're joining them because they're parts of you. you're willing to merge with all of that juiciness inside of you that we call negative emotion, that's nasty, it's actually part of you. So if you're willing to merge with all of that, you will overcome the adrenaline surges of panic and anxiety that have overtaken you for years, and all of these things. The overthinking is a different story, because overthinking is basically an obsession with the mind. Another way to think of this too is overthinking means you're underfeeling. You're not connected to your body, right? And that was me. Anyone who has anxiety is very much in their head. They're not aware of the sensations that are going on in the body because they don't think it's important, right? Why do I care what's going on in my body? But it's actually very important, because again, all of these sensations that are going on are intuition, are suppressed emotions ready to process out. So if you're disconnected and you're in your head all the time thinking, trying to figure out your problem, you'll never overcome your patterns in your mind. Your mind is trapped in programming. So if you're spinning in your head trying to figure out how to get to your next level, you're just going to keep repeating the same patterns because you're trapped in your mind. We don't want to rely on the mind. We want to rely on the intelligence that operates behind the mind, which is pure consciousness, which is God, which is whatever you want to call it, life force. It's way more powerful than your mind. But we try to play God with our mind and figure everything out and manifest and all this stuff. We get into trouble. There's a force, a supreme force behind all of that that's way more powerful, that will give you everything you need if you surrender to that and don't resist it.
Yeah, I'm going to surrender my mind to God and just say, God, help me reprogram my mind so that I could get out of this mess.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, John, I have a question. Right now, I was just thinking about, you being on TV shows and also winning the US Memory Championship and all of that. And I don't know, sometimes when it comes to competition, sometimes you feel this kind of anxiety, or you feel this kind of fear, or you start to overthink things because of that event. I do the same kind of things when it also comes to dealing with our suppressed emotions, or there are two different kinds of anxiety or fear or overthinking.
I mean, it's all suppressed emotion, whether it's new or old, right? It means you haven't fully let it out, or it's happening right now, whether it's new or old, it's happening. And if it continues to happen, it means you're holding it in. So what I tell people is, you're talking about pressure to perform, right? You're on a stage, right? Yeah. We all experience this. This is a human experience. So you're never going to fully overcome that. That's an emotion, right? People try to suppress pressure or distract themselves from pressure. Again, don't do that. Don't ever do that, because you'll suppress. It's just damaging. You don't need to block your internal distractions. When you're feeling pressure in a moment like that, and you have to practice this beforehand too, but you have to allow that to happen. You have to fully let that pressure happen, which some people say, embrace your pressure. That's what I mean. Like, let it fully happen, because you can actually harness that energy. If you fight it and try to push it away, or try to distract yourself in music or whatever, it's just going to amplify and get stronger. But I was in front of a stage, or I was on a show that broadcast to 400 million people this year in China. So while I was on that stage, I felt adrenaline. I felt, I heard my mind shattering. I felt hot on stage under the lights. I let it happen. Say, cool. I just channeled my focus back into what I was doing and relied on all of the years of practice I had. But I felt everything. While I was memorizing, I felt it all. I wasn't disconnected. I was with it. I was harnessing that energy and letting it happen. And that's what I really teach people to do, because there's no other way. If you suppress it or deny it, it's just going to keep getting worse. Like you said, life just keep poking you. And you'll never overcome the root issues, right? The root issues just need to be felt.
So, I mean, for example, an issue could be maybe one is not having high esteem or self-esteem, basically, and one has to maybe deal with that also. Or I'm going back again to self-doubt, for example, or maybe it's what do you call this? You are having some inferior thoughts or inferior motives towards yourself, yeah. And that's what's...
Yeah, because those all just come from experiences when you were younger, or when you were a child, or maybe your parents, didn't fully empower you, right? Maybe there was a moment in grade school where you gave an answer and all the kids around you laughed, all the kids that were your friends. And in that moment, you subconsciously decided, I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to keep myself safe. Not because of what your mind said, but because the feeling of embarrassment was painful that you couldn't handle it. And so the reason we have self-doubt and self-esteem issues, yes, the mind is chattering, but our mind is trying to protect us from experiencing that feeling again because it was so painful. That's what's happening. The mind is actually trying to protect you by saying, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Don't go there. Don't say that. Why is it saying that? Because if you step outside of your comfort zone, you might experience an intense feeling like that embarrassment you felt when you were in first grade. So it's emotional root.
Yeah, it all goes back to emotional roots. Wow, John, I've learned so much from speaking with you in this conversation. For someone out there, for a listener out there right now, we're standing on the stage of life facing X number of people or facing a condition or a situation. We've talked about, visiting the root cause, which is our emotions, the suppressed emotions and feelings. Is there another thing else that person right now could do to improve, to feel better at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, understanding that it's an emotional root completely changes the game, because now people can change their course and stop trying all the things they've been trying that haven't working. I mean, I guide people through this. There's 3 steps that you really need. I talked about the second step, which is unhooking from that negative emotion, right? I want you to feel that feeling and, bring your attention from your mind into your sensations and just be with it. It goes a little bit deeper, right, than that, but that's a good start. The first thing you want to do is you want to have a fully regulated, optimized nervous system. Meaning, if you have anxiety and pressure, you're tense, you're dysregulated, your nervous system is dysregulated. Your nervous system is a part of your brain. People obsess about their brain, but they forget about their nervous system. I teach people how to fully relax and release all of those deep, deep, deep tensions that are holding in the suppressed emotion. Right? Think of all the times you get intense emotions, you tense up because they're painful. You're literally holding them in. You're not letting them out. So I teach people how to relax their body, release those, and optimize your nervous system so your nervous system can work optimally, naturally, without you like tensing up and messing it up all the time, right? So that's the first step. And then we learn the unhooking process, how to lean into that feeling instead of avoid it in meditation or avoid it and take a walk. And then the third piece, I call this catalyst merging. Catalyst meaning the big events in our life, the heartbreaks, the first grade, third grade stuff. How do we access and release those suppressed emotions without like digging in the past? Because I'm not your therapist. I'm not teaching you therapy or questions. I don't want you using your mind, but you can use the events of the day, all the stuff that poked you, the stuff that bothers you, to release those big boulders inside. So I walk people through how they can do this on their own. All of this is teaching people how to do this themselves, because again, you don't need a priest or a counselor or a therapist or a guru to do this. You can do all of this on your own. And that's what I teach people on my website at Release Panic.
Awesome. And that was the thing I was going to ask you, like, what's the best way to reach out to you? I know you're available also on Instagram and other platforms also. So I'm going to place the link to your website in the show notes of this episode for anyone out there who is looking forward to, releasing panic attack and anxiety for good, forever. The link will be in the show notes of this episode. Click on it, copy the link, and reach out to John. I'm really grateful that you explained and went into depth about how important it is for us to deal with our suppressed emotions. That's like a message coming back to me again. I'm hopefully to a lot of listeners out there so that they can use that as a tool to get free from panic attacks and anxiety. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate this wonderful conversation.
Toby, it was awesome. You're very curious and you're very important. What you do and what you bring forth to the world and bringing out of your guests is valuable. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.